I don't know about you, but I don't think I could juggle engineering studies and running in the USF 2000 Series. Our next guest is attempting to do just that. Prescott Campbell just got announced to run for Exclusive Autosport in 2020. He's coming off of a campaign where he won the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series in 2019. So let's get to know Prescott a little bit better and find out how he juggles schoolwork and racing and what he's looking forward to in the upcoming season. Stay tuned. Hundreds of drivers with dozens of teams compete in multiple series with one ultimate goal: to race in the Indianapolis 500. Yet each year, only 33 dreams come true. These are the stories that make up the 33 Dreams of Indy. Prescott Campbell, welcome to 33 Dreams of Indy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
You got it. Fantastic announcement recently. You're going to jump into the USF 2000 season with Exclusive Autosport. Tell me about that opportunity, how that came together, and how excited you are.
I'm very excited for this season. To get into the road to Indy, that's a dream to me. Just the path that it provides for these young drivers to go straight to IndyCar. Just see the drivers that have gone through it quickly, like Oliver, is very exciting to be a part of this program now. I have to thank Lucas Oil and Cooper Tires for giving me the opportunity to get started in cars. I wouldn't be in the position I am if the Cooper Tire Karting Scholarship Shootout at the end of 2018 didn't happen. That really gave me the start in cars and allowed me to get my foot in the door of the road to Indy. And thanks to winning this championship in the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series, I was able to get a scholarship towards USF2000 this year. And I've been able to apply that to run with Exclusive Autosport for this season. I've tested with the team this off-season, had a really great experience. They had a really good focus on my learning and preparation for the season, which I really appreciated. Everybody was great to work with, extremely helpful, and I'm really looking forward to working with them this season.
Had the opportunity to see Michael Duncalf at the Sebring test that was going on for both the at that time Indy Pro 2000, because you hadn't been announced yet, and they also had their Indy Lights effort there. The first day that I arrived, the cars were basically in a teardown mode. To see the team put the Indy Lights car back together, see it on the track, and to see Nikita doing such a good job told me a lot about the dedication of the team and what they were doing, and Michael and the resources that he's putting behind the effort to be able to go into the season. You're going to be teammates with, although not at the same racing level, but teammates with last year's USF 2000 champion, Braden Eves. That has to give you a lot of confidence going into the season.
Yes, it sure does. Having his knowledge on the team will be extremely helpful to me, I believe. When I tested with this team this offseason, Braden was there at the test running his Indy Pro 2000 car, and he was very open to helping me, give me advice, and I really appreciated that. So I'm looking forward to picking his brain throughout this season.
Yeah, if you can drive the car anywhere close to on the edge, the way that on the edge and under control, the way that Braden does, you'll be doing fantastic. So let's take a step back and break down a little bit of your road. I'm more of a storyteller, and I love to hear the stories behind how you got into racing. First thing I saw from the announcement that came out, Newport Beach, California, native, yet a resident of Oxford in the UK. So how did that come about? And also Oxford Brookes University and your studies that you're doing there.
Yep, that's right. I'm from California originally. That's where I grew up. For most of growing up, I actually grew up in Singapore when I was really young. Moved there when I was 1 until I turned 7. Then moved back to California. Always wanted to get into karting. Had started watching Formula One at a very young age. My interest in motorsport definitely comes from my dad. He used to race Formula Fords in the Northern California SCCA region. And as soon as I could get into karting, when I moved back, I did. Started racing cadet karts at 11 years of age. Moved up, as soon as I got into shifter karts. I was running the stock Honda program. My goal was immediately to try to work up through those ranks as quickly as possible to get into the S1 Pro Shifter category. And I was able to graduate to that level at the end of 2018 at the SUSA SuperNationals. But at the same time, we had learned about the Cooper Tire Karting Scholarship Shootout. It was the first year they were having it. It was the inaugural event. And my dad and I and my family, we just knew that we had to get on board. And my mom particularly pushed for me to get into cars at this point. So we ran a little bit of the last bit of the season with the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series that year to get seat time in the car. Went to the shootout. It was a great experience. They had a lot of notable figures in the motorsport industry as judges. They didn't just judge us on track. They had simulation events. They had interviews with Brian Till. They judged us on all aspects on and off the track. And to win that was, an honor for me. It really opened a door. To get a full season in racing cars is not something that a lot of drivers get the opportunity to have like that. So I was very grateful and was able to compete in the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series the following season in 2019. That was a great season. It did have its up and downs. About halfway through the season, I was still competing at the pro level of shifter karting throughout the season to get seat time, expose myself to that competitive environment while I'm away from the cars. And I broke my femur in a karting accident at a club event in late June. So unfortunately, because of that, I had to miss 3 of the rounds of the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series. But I kept my head held high, kept working hard to get back in the car, pushing with physical therapy, everything I could, back on the simulator as soon as possible, and was able to make the very next races after the ones I missed at the National Corvette Museum. Got the track record, won my first race back. I couldn't have asked for a better comeback. And from that point on, I knew that I had a chance at a comeback at the championship. So basically just did everything I could on track, consistent results, and eventually came down to the finale at Sebring International Raceway. The top 3 drivers were all in the position, actually the top 4 drivers were all in position to win the championship going into the very last race. I was in 3rd at the time, just a few points behind the rest. And I had to win, while the championship leader had to finish 3rd or worse for me to win the championship. And I managed to pull it off. I actually finished 2nd and was still able to win the championship just. And wow, that was an amazing feeling, especially with all that happened throughout the season. I definitely have to thank everybody at the Lucas Oil School of Racing for really keeping my motivation high, keep telling me that I'm still in this championship no matter what happened. And especially my family. They're the ones with me throughout the whole thing. They're the ones that helped me throughout the recovery. And they're the ones that were pushing me to keep trying, and thanks to them, I was able to pull it off and get the scholarship for USF2000 this year.
So have you been back in the kart since the accident? Because that's something where you see a lot of drivers that when they're in a championship setup, they don't want to go to the other series yet. You see some teams that don't allow drivers to go into. I don't think you're quite to that level yet. Seat time is very important. But have you been back in the kart since then?
Yeah, seat time is very important, and no, I have not been back in the kart since then.
Is that because of the accident, or is it because the kart was put on the shelf? Tell me a little bit more about that decision.
No, surprisingly, the kart is actually not in that bad of shape. The chassis is in good condition. We haven't gotten it back together. I just haven't been home that much since moving to England for school. So okay. I think I will stay away from karts for a while. There are plenty of other opportunities to get seat time. So,
yeah. Oxford Brookes University, motorsports engineering student. How did you get into that program, and how has the engineering assisted you or potentially hindered you when you're behind the seat of overthinking things?
Yes, well, I've always had an interest in engineering. Both my parents are engineers. And I think my interest in engineering really does stem from my interest in motorsport. Watching Formula One, all the development battles that happened between the teams, that was something that really interested me. And, Formula One is the pinnacle of engineering of all industries, I believe. It's one of the fastest moving engineering industries, and it was one that I definitely wanted to get involved in. So during high school, I was involved in robotics, and I really developed a passion for CAD design. I knew that I wanted to get into mechanical engineering and the motorsport industry if possible. But really being in the U.S., I didn't really know if there was a way I could branch my way into the motorsport industry and Formula One in particular over in Europe. And when we found out about this school, Oxford Brookes University, which is actually through hearing the story of one of the engineers in IndyCar, I just knew this is where I wanted to go. I put all my efforts and my application towards coming to Oxford Brookes University. Their school has industry connections unlike any other school. To Formula One in particular, they have alumni at every school. And I knew that if I wanted to work at the pinnacle of engineering, particularly in motorsport, this is where I had to go.
So I've had the conversation with Matt Round Garrido as to coming to the States, and his biggest challenge, believe it or not, was food. What has been your biggest challenge in England?
Oh, in England. Well, I definitely think the rigor of the school is quite hard. The academic side of it is pretty competitive. The food, it's not the best, but I don't think it's because of where I am. I just think it's because, engineering campus, that's where I find myself all the time, cafeteria food sort of thing. Yeah. The weather's not bad. Not as bad as people were expecting it to be for me. It's quite mild. I mean, it is quite gloomy, but nothing harsh, thankfully.
California boy with that cloud deck over, it's probably like you picked up and moved to Seattle is what you feel like
A little bit.
being in that weather. So made the progression through karts. I found it interesting as well, without diving into the karting too much, but you were right into the shifters. Then taking that experience, being invited as one of 30 to participate in that Lucas Oil Shootout, winning that, which got you into the Formula Car Series, winning that series, which provides a partial scholarship into the USF2000 this year, right on the particular path. Has Oliver asked you, obviously he's been an inspiration to a lot of drivers, has that put any added pressure on you because of how quickly he progressed through the ranks and thinking that I need to replicate this in order to be noticed?
No, I think it does quite the opposite. I don't think it puts any pressure. I think it actually demonstrates that doing something like he did is possible. And knowing that it's possible, it gives me the confidence that someone like me can do the same thing. Mm-hmm. He's someone I have looked up to. He came from Shifter Karts in Florida too. And he was actually a judge at the Cooper Tire Karting Scholarship Shootout when I competed. So I got to meet him there. And yeah, really great guy and definitely someone I look up to.
Yeah, one of the good Florida drivers, so I have to root for them as well to go through. So I found out about the engineering and the school that you did. Also saw that you interned with Dale Coyne Racing in the 2019 Indianapolis 500. That has got to be an experience of a lifetime.
Oh, it sure was, and that's actually thanks to my connection. Trevor Greensmith, he was an engineer at Dale Coyne Racing at the time. He's a graduate of Oxford Brookes University here. His story is how I found out about Oxford Brookes University in the first place. And thanks to him, I got to meet him at the Long Beach Grand Prix last year for the first time. And he mentioned that the opportunity to work for the team at Indy might be possible. And I was stunned by that comment and immediately had to pursue it. Thankfully, it was possible. Yeah, so it was a great experience. Full 2 weeks at Indy, all the practice and everything, getting to be in the pit lane. I was on Santino Ferrucci's car. Just being involved in that event was just something unlike anything else. I was working hard, one of the hardest 2 weeks of my life, really pushing there. But it was so cool to be behind the scenes, see how the engineers work with the drivers, getting to work with the mechanics and being a part of a team effort like that was unbelievable.
I can imagine. And the build up you were involved with, I think one part you were talking about was 3D printing and some of the components that you've worked with on 3D printing and being able to put that together, driver cooling, those types of systems. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, one of my main tasks that I was responsible for throughout the 2 weeks was Craig Hampson, Sebastian Bourdais' engineer last year. He designed these really cool driver cooling fans that were 3D printed and made out of carbon rod and things like that. So my job was to assemble them, troubleshoot them, make sure they were working properly. And yeah, it was great to see something that I put together on the cars at the races. And even in the races following, like at Mid-Ohio, for example, if you pay attention, they might still have them on the cars this year, Delacoin, in the pit lane and things. They'll have those driver fans on the drivers. So maybe not this year with the aero screen, but yeah, it's certainly cool to see on TV.
Well, I'm going to kid a little bit from seeing the comments on Twitter, Facebook. People have warmed to the aero screen. Definitely a safety innovation that's needed. But they're just going to put a big ceiling fan like you have in your house over the top of the aero screen, and that way they'll be able to get enough air in for the driver and keep them cool.
Effective, right?
It would be effective. It would work. Yeah, just have it as a directional. You can have it oscillate and be able to go. But that is got to be an amazing experience. Like to tell my own stories. I'm not anywhere mechanical whatsoever. I leave that to my brother. But as a teenager, I worked on a stock car that ran the Northwest Tour. So it was responsible for tires and tire readings and making sure the radios. I'm dating myself, but we're back in the early 80s. So having local track radios to be able to communicate with the driver was very much, we were getting the radios from El Helicopter and aviation and putting those in. And now they're just small little radios that you are able to clip into the car. But back then it was a pretty good brick that would go in the back. If you've seen the scene in Ford versus Ferrari where he has the big computer sitting next to him, it wasn't quite that bad. Yeah, but we'd make sure that was mounted and different things. That experience, I learned as much from that experience and my high school basketball coach as I did out of any other things growing up. So what a great opportunity, and then getting to take in everything that was there at Indy. So we're weeks away from the preseason, and you're gearing up. What are you doing to prepare? Will we see you at Homestead for the preseason testing?
Yes, you definitely will, and I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I think it's 23 days until St. Pete, if that's correct. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back in the car. You know, I fell in love with the USF-17 chassis ever since I drove it for the first time, and driving something with wings and slicks like that is just so fun. And yeah, I'm having a great time getting used to the car, really. Yeah, I go back to Florida, nice sunny weather. I'm really looking forward to learning some new tracks when I'm there. I've never been to Homestead, and of course, never been to St. Pete. Excuse me. Yeah, really looking forward to getting back in the seat.
Yesterday, they started track build at St. Pete. So that's always exciting, living here in Clearwater and St. Pete, and really a time for us in the Tampa Bay area to shine, and we're definitely looking forward to that. Also want to interject, you'll have an opportunity to see the Mobile Sim Lab, Symmetric Labs, a presenter of the 33 Dreams to Indy and a proud partner with the Road to Indy series. They're going to have their mobile lab there that is a simulation that actually has the car model for the USF2000. So you can't find that on iRacing. It is actually there. Three 75-inch monitors that you're almost like you're in a audio booth or recording studio where you're in the seat, and then the data is collected outside. They also use the Tobii Pro eye tracking system to be able to watch that. So we're thankful for Symmetric Labs for presenting 33 Dreams of Indy, and you'll be able to check that out at Homestead. I know Greg is going to have the 45-foot rig there for drivers to be able to take a look at. So That'll be exciting to see. You'll also get to connect with the Team USA winner, one of the two Team USA Scholarship winners, Josh Green, and you'll be battling it out with him this season. Take a moment and talk about that experience of the Team USA Scholarship in what you went through there at Road America.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable experience. I've always paid attention to the Team USA Scholarship ever since I heard about it a few years ago when I was looking to get into car racing. And to be picked as a finalist, was an honor for me, definitely. And getting to go there, meet all the other competitors. We're all very like-minded, and it was really cool to learn from each other. It was a really friendly experience, and I really appreciated that from all the other drivers. And I think we all got along very well. One of the really cool aspects of it was really the judges that were present. They're all really notable figures again in the motorsport industry, and they were since we had so many judges, we were able to have one person on each corner of Road America. And when we were doing data debriefs, we were by ourselves with all of the judges. So when we go through the data trace, we were able to get feedback from every single person that was able to relate what they saw in person to what was showing on the data. And that just really accelerated the learning process a lot. I thought that was really cool. And, the opportunity that Jeremy gives for these drivers is unbelievable. I was able to actually attend the Formula Ford Festival at Brands Hatch, being in England. And it was really cool to catch up with Josh and Scott there. It was really cool to see. And just, thankful to be a part of that program.
Really, it sounded like it's a fantastic experience, and Jeremy puts on a great program. And we were talking about Oliver Askew, but now you have the opportunity to kind of break that string of being a champion that was a non-Team USA Scholarship winner versus the ones that are in there. But just to be selected as a finalist out of the group, that's a tremendous honor. Couple things I want to touch on. Sponsors. I always like to give you an opportunity. I gave a shout out to one of our sponsors here. Give you an opportunity to give a shout out. Acknowledge those that help you put the wheels on the track.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to thank, of course, the Lucas Oil School of Racing. They really have given me the opportunity to be where I am today, to get my foot in the door of the road to Indy and to start racing cars in the first place. And also Cooper Tire, their inaugural scholarship shootout is really what allowed me to get started in cars, and they're playing a part in my scholarship for USF2000 as well, and the road to Indy. I have to thank them all for my scholarship opportunity for this season. I'd also like to thank Southbelt America. As a champion, I'll get their gear for this season, their top of the line equipment, which I'm really excited to use. I'd also like to thank a team sponsor, Aero Sustainable Paint Technology. They do all the livery and wraps on the Exclusive Autosport cars, and that's why they look so great. I'd like to thank them as well. And of course, most of all, I'd like to thank my parents. They're the whole reason I'm here. Without them, and without them believing me and backing me and being behind me, I would not be in racing at all in the first place, let alone where I am now. So I'd like to thank all of them very much.
So you're heading into the USF2000 Series, right into the road to Indy. When you started in Shifter Karts, this was a dream, but I want you to dream a little bit more with me. What would it be like to start and run in the Indianapolis 500?
Wow, that would be an unbelievable feeling to qualify. It would be unbelievable to feel all of what I've been doing, all of the hard work that I would have done up to that point to finally turn into an accomplishment such as that. Would just feel unbelievable. And I'd really be grateful for the opportunity to compete in the race and demonstrate my ability in front of the crowd in one of the most watched races in the world.
You had the opportunity to be with the team last year. So did you get an opportunity to go out on the grid on race day?
Oh, I definitely did. And it was crazy just to be there with the pre-race rituals. It was really cool. It's just to see how many people are in the stands. It's just completely mind blowing. And quite overwhelming to say the least. and to be be part of the pit lane, that was a stressful environment. But to be in it all and have the radio and hear what's going on. I was actually Santino's lollipop man for all the pit stops in the race. And one of the coolest things was getting to hear, Poncho Carter, his spotter, telling how to set up passes and everything. That was just to hear exactly everything going on corner by corner through the spotter and Santino, and their conversation was really cool. And in the race, we had a bit of trouble almost with yellow flag coming out right at one at the end of our fuel stints, and to have him come back through the field right at the end, be top placed rookie, was an amazing feeling to accomplish that with the team and play a part in making that happen.
Yeah, Indy is something else. I'll put it in perspective for you. This year will be my 21st straight Indy 500. I've been going to the Indy 500 longer than you've been alive. I know that's nowhere near some folks that have been going the 30, 40, 50 years. Yet for me, it's quite an accomplishment. It's been very important to myself, my family's life, my brother and I. And yeah, there's something special about Indy, and for you to be able to experience it in all of my years of doing business goal setting, life goal setting, what you got to accomplish of being on the grid for the start of the race, or to be associated with that, has always been one of my goals that I've put down. Some people say, I want to own a Ferrari, I want to do this. Mine is to be able to participate in the month of May and to do that on race day. So congrats on you. You have something that I've wanted for a long time, and I still aspire to it. And knock on wood, we'll make that happen here in the near future. Prescott, absolutely great to catch up with you, exchange back and forth. We'll be keeping track of you throughout the season as we go on the road. That's going to be quite a travel schedule. How are you going to handle schooling during the racing season? Are you going to be going some back and forth or online classes, or talk to me about that process? That's the last part I want to touch upon.
Right. It'll definitely be a challenge, but I'm not one to back away from one. Only the first 3 races will be in the end of my second semester, but apart from that, all the other races are in the summer. So I will be doing a bit of travel back and forth between St. Petersburg, Circuit of the Americas, and IMS. But apart from that, I'll be back in California during the rest of the racing season. Thankfully, in the UK, schooling is quite different than the US. Attendance isn't considered in the grade, so as long as you can catch up, all the lectures are put online, thankfully. So I will be doing a lot of review and work ahead of time. But my goal is to do all the work so that when I go to the races, that's all I need to focus on, and it's definitely possible to get all the work out of the way when I can. So yeah, it'll be a challenge. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and yeah, can't wait to get the season started.
I know others have done it. Christian Rasmussen has completed his studies overseas while he's been racing. Colin Kaminsky would be someone to check with. Full level of classes at the University of Pittsburgh while he was competing in USF2000 and now moving up to Indy Pro 2000. So there's a couple folks that while you're there at testing, you can talk to them about the schooling side of it. Prescott, wish you nothing but the best, and for the A team of Exclusive Autosport as you go into the season. Look forward to keeping track with you. Folks, young drivers like this, giving them exposure, it's a passion of mine. I'm thankful we're just hit over 1,000 likes on Facebook, and we've only been up and running for a short period of time. So thank you so much for that. If you like this, hit the subscribe button. Also, we're on all of the major podcast players as you start your travels throughout the racing season, as you're maybe not traveling as much as going to the UK and back, but if you're going to the races, I would love for you to add 33 Dreams of Indy into the rotation. Send me a note, give me some feedback on what you think about the show. Would love that. Until we catch up at Homestead, and for all the rest of you, until next time, Prescott and the rest of you, keep dreaming.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this video from 33 Dreams of Indy. It would mean the world to me if you would click subscribe so that you could be notified of any new videos that come along.